And hijacking Rodney O Speaks today, this is Telli saying welcome to the Rodney O Podcast.
People do them or not?
I think if they need something to look forward to or they need a goal, they should do it. If they feel content where they are, maybe the goal is to just remain where you are.
What's up, guys? This is Travis Yance with TravisYanceFitness.com, creator of the Alpha Fitness Program, and you're listening to the Rodney O Podcast, the Alpha of Podcasts.
Hey guys, so right out of high school, I enrolled in a junior college, and in this JC, I wanted to make sure that I can get all my college done right out of high school so I can be on the path to adulthood by my early 20s. So I did a whole lot of credits in this. I did all my general ed in this college. And then at one point when I was about 20, I was like, I want to move to Los Angeles. So I moved. I did enroll in a JC there, but before I could attend, I got pregnant. So then I moved back home and decided I still wanted to complete my general education to get a associate's degree. So I ended up getting 2 associate's degrees, and then I was done with school. I didn't want to go back. It was a lot of work for me and I didn't want to do it. But here I was, the single mom, and I had goals and aspirations. I really wanted to do better for myself and my child. So I decided to enroll in a college to get my bachelor's degree, but it was frightening for me because I did not have the time in the day. So I went to school online. And I just took it one step at a time, one assignment at a time, one course at a time, just getting through. And it's felt like forever. But after 2 years, I finally got my bachelor's degree. And yes, it did increase my wages and what I was able to make. And it did make a way for me. So on Rodney O's podcast today, we will be talking about New Year's resolutions and taking that first step. So here in hijacking his podcast, this is Telli O, and welcome to Rodney O Speaks.
That sometimes you may set a goal and you may not complete that goal. You may fail. But it's always good to go back, set it again, remember the little milestones you've had, and go on to this goal for completion. Okay, it's that time of year again. And what time of year am I talking about? You know, we just finished the Christmas holidays and the season of cheer and goodwill. And what comes next? New Year's. And with New Year's comes New Year's resolutions. And so today I'm joined with my guest, Telli. She's been on a few of my podcasts before. How you doing, Telli?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Always a pleasure. And so as we talk about these New Year's resolutions, I kind of want to get into and think about the year 2018 is over. And so hopefully this podcast is on for years and years to come. So if you're listening to this is the 2018 going into 2019 version of the New Year's resolutions. And so there's reasons why people do resolutions or they do not do resolutions. And I'm not sure which side of the fence you're on, but for me personally, I think that you should do resolutions. What do you think, Telli? Should people do them or not?
I think if they need something to look forward to or they need a goal, they should do it. If they feel content where they are, maybe the goal is to just remain where you are.
Yeah. And so, whatever side of the fence you're on, there's reasons behind that. And so examining those reasons are a lot of times people aren't happy with everything that happened in the current year. Meaning if it's 2018 now, you're not happy with 2018. So going into 2019, you want to make a splash, you want to make it better. And so you set resolutions for 2019, or you just say, what's the point? And you don't do resolutions for 2019. Sometimes people want to improve or they want to change. They want to do something better with their lives, or they want their lives to improve, or they want to change something. And then sometimes maybe that you're just content. You're content with life, that life is going pretty well, that there's nothing else that you need to change or need to do. But out of those reasons, is there any reasons that stand out to you, Telli, of why you should or should not do resolutions? Or is there any reasons that I forgot to mention?
Oh, no. I think that some reasons people don't want to do resolutions is maybe they feel like they're already doomed to fail, or maybe they've tried this many years in a row and it never seems to work out. Another reason why people would want to do resolution is because there's something to be said for starting over, starting with a clean slate. And the idea of a resolution is to wipe clean the mess of last year and start over this year with goals and maybe fitness goals or personal accomplishments in mind for that year. So I think starting new is enticing.
Yeah, and so it's really a good benchmark, I think, when the year is starting over. Whenever you start a goal or anything, whether it's beginning of the month, beginning of the week, you say, let me get through the weekend and get this goal going. I think New Year's is a good just benchmark of where to start this from. But I think a lot of times there are some reasons why we don't do them. And so, Telli, you mentioned one of them about people think they're doomed to fail. And so earlier today, I had this stat. I listened to somebody's video, and they had mentioned that 80% of the people who do New Year's resolutions fail. But to me, that means 20% of the people succeed. So me always having that positive mindset, always thinking of the other side, I think it's very important that you remember that even though you may set something up and they may not complete it, at least you're kind of making that goal and making some progress. And just remember, if 80% fail, there's a 20% chance you may succeed.
That's true. I mean, as long as if you're falling, getting back up is what's most important. You don't just give up and stay on the ground.
Yeah. And so, a lot of times when you set these resolutions, a couple things to keep in mind. You want to make sure that you don't set unrealistic expectations. And so what that may look like, and it's different for everybody out there and different people. But when I say unrealistic, I mean,
lose 50 pounds in the first 2 weeks of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Something that's really crazy, something that's really out there that you kind of know, knowing yourself, knowing the human body, maybe knowing physics and everything else, that may not work for you. And so you want to make sure you set realistic expectations. And, that doesn't mean that you don't set something up that's a big goal to achieve, but just understanding that even if you set a high goal and you don't quite reach that top goal, that if you make the strides to get close to it, you're still improving.
That's true. That's very true. I mean, it's the will to keep pushing on. That ultimately is going to get someone there, even if it's their third time with that same resolution.
Yeah. And so, you mentioned a really good one, Telli, where you talked about, the weight goals and you want to lose 50 pounds in the first couple of weeks, and what I tell people when they set out a goal to lose anything else, it's a long grind. It usually takes a long time to gain, even though it is easier and faster to gain, I think, than it is to lose. But still, you want to set, parameters. And I think, if you have that 50-pound goal, what you want to do is aim for maybe a half pound to a pound a week. And I know for a lot of people, that is just like, that is so slow. Like, are you kidding me? 50 weeks, that's almost a whole year. But I think when you set that parameter, I think if you set for a pound or a half pound a week, if you get 2 pounds, then you're pleasantly surprised and you're more motivated to keep on going. And so I think setting benchmarks and setting these little progress steps along your way, it's very helpful. What do you think, Telli?
I think it's especially for the weight loss, and those of you that know Rodney O from his Instagram know that he's really into fitness, and I'm not as much into fitness, but I think it's important to just change the mindset. So rather than saying, I'm going to go lose a pound a week, I would say, okay, well, I'm going to cut out this many sodas a week. And then I'm going to start walking more, because I know that if I say I'm going to get on a treadmill and run a mile, it's not going to happen. So I'm just going to start parking further away from my location and walking more, and just taking baby steps just to improve little by little. And you're going to find that you're going to start inching toward your goal without even knowing it. And then when you get the energy and the motivation to, you can start increasing your goals, and maybe, okay, now I will get on the treadmill and do 45 minutes or, eat more vegetables and fruits.
Yeah. And I always use the analogy. One of my favorite ones that I've always used is if you're in a race, and if you're in a bicycle race and you're halfway finished and you fall off the bicycle, you don't stop right there and pout. You don't grab the bicycle, go back to the starting line. What you do is you pick it up where you're at and you continue to race. And so I think that's really important that you do set these parameters for reaching these little steps to go for your bigger goal. And that goes to say also with people who say they're not going to set a New Year's resolution because they're just doomed to fail, right? That they tried these things in the past. They tried to lose weight in the past. They tried to improve themselves financially in the past, and they just ended up failing. And so with that mindset, again, do you want to look at the 80% or the 20%? Because I think sometimes if you have that where you're saying you're going to fail, guess what happens? You are going to fail. I think you're setting yourself up for defeat when you have that mindset in there instead of saying, this is my goal. Let's see how far I can get towards that. What do you think?
I think if you feel like your goal is, if you're overreaching, like you said, just reduce the goal, and let's just strive to do something different. I think having a resolution is very important because you should always want to improve in some way. And we can have the happiest life ever, but maybe there's always something that you can improve at. No one is perfect. And no one can be perfect, but I mean, just striving to be better shows how much you care about yourself. So if anything, just, give yourself a small goal. Like, I think I'm going to think positively when someone says something negative, or I'm going to, pick up an old hobby that I used to have, or, grow my own fruit in the garden. I don't know, but something to build toward your overall happiness.
Yeah, I agree. And as you're going into this new year, into 2019, or however you may be listening, whatever benchmark you want to set as far as starting, the important thing is to start. And I know a lot of people really have a negative view of the New Year's resolution per se, because, hey, they hate the idea of that being the benchmark, that being the day the gyms are now crowded and nobody can use any equipment because of all the people who are there for New Year's resolutions. And so for that, I have to say that you have to start somewhere. And I think any benchmark you use or any date that you use to start is a good thing because you are at least starting. So I would say don't be afraid, or do not avoid a New Year's resolution because you don't like the New Year's date. Heck, if you want to start early, start on the weekend before, start on the weekend after, or whatever it is. But the important thing is to start.
That's exactly right.
So all that is to say is, like I said earlier, I think that we should always be looking to improve ourselves. So I'm all for New Year's resolutions. I think we all should strive to make ourselves better. I think we should make ourselves better to the point that we are perfect. And for those of you who know me, I know that we cannot be perfect. We will never be perfect until we see God. But in the meantime, I think that's something to strive for. I think that's something to work towards. I think it's always good to improve yourselves and look to make your lives, look yourself better. And
I think you should always concentrate on your mental health and your mental happiness, because you can have everything you want. You can have all the money you want, the body you want, the friends you want. But if your mental health is not okay, then it doesn't matter. And it wouldn't seem like that to you. So I think you should have goals that are not only physical, but that are mental. And you should strive to find what makes you happy and incorporate what makes you happy, and to relax when you can, because we can get overwhelmed very, very easily.
Yeah, and that's so true. That's, one thing that's often overlooked. And I think, as we talk about New Year's resolutions and goals and setting them, a lot of times it is the physical. A lot of times it is the working out, getting in better shape, eating better, get, more exercise, whatever it may be. And so I think that is a very important aspect as far as the mental health as well. So I want to leave you guys with a couple steps, I think, to take as you set these goals and New Year's resolutions. And I think the first one is simple. Set a goal, kind of have the why, and I think it's important to really examine your why. Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to have a better financial position? Why do you want to do these things? Because, if it's a large goal, then make these small milestones. And I think the why, if you really know the true why, it will help you continue on and improve.
That's right. Maybe start a journal to help you to understand your whys, get starting.
That's very good. And then number 2, stay focused on the end goal. don't quit over speed bumps. Kind of like the analogy I used before. You're going to run into speed bumps. There's going to be things that are going to slow you down. There's going to be a week where you're just so busy that you can't eat right, that you can't go back to the gym. And the important thing is to say like, hey, you know what? I blew it this week, but next week is a brand new week. I'm going to pick myself up and continue on. If it's mentally, hey, you know what? I'm going to get help. I'm going to talk to somebody, but you know what? I'm going to continue on and pursue this goal.
It's true. Each day is a brand new day. And each day is an opportunity to do different, to do better, to learn from past mistakes. So learn from the mistakes. Don't let them dictate your future.
And then number 3, celebrate the small victories. I think it's important that if you have this goal and you're striving towards it and you make a small victory, if you lose that half pound in the first week, if you lose that pound in week number 6, celebrate that. Don't celebrate it by binging, but celebrate that by saying like, hey, you know what? I reached a little milestone and I'm on my way to my bigger goal.
I've read before that when you reach a milestone, say you put $10 aside, and then at the end of your milestone, you're able to purchase something that shows your goal. For example, like if you just lost 30 pounds and you put $10 aside for every pound, then at the end of it, now you can buy the dress you've always wanted to fit into, or something that celebrates you. Or just take yourself to a movie or something. Just, pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, very good to have that reward system and making sure you pursue that goal. So if you guys are listening on New Year's Eve, have a good New Year's. I hope your 2019 will go very well. If you are into a new year, or if it's past 2018 into 2019 or 2020 or wherever it may be, hope your year is going great. Always set goals. Always look to improve yourselves. Hey, Telli, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, the best looking guest host I've ever had. So thank you guys for tuning in. And this has been the Rodney O Podcast. See you guys in the next one.